Okay, now on my website, whentechfails.com, I've got all the details. So I'll give you a few of the top heavy hitters. You definitely want to have food, clothing, shelter, medicine for you and your family. A good first aid kit. My grab and go kit, I have a big blue tub that I keep my stuff in, and I keep large and small items. I also have a big box of all my camping gear because I live in earthquake and wildfire country. And so here, if I had a big earthquake in the summer, bridges would go down, the gas lines would bust, a fire would start out. So I've got to be able to get out of the way of the ensuing firestorm. And if I can't get my four-wheel drive across the rivers, I'm going to have to do it on foot. So that's why I have my backpack. So I have a little compact first aid kit that's this big, palm of your hand. I supplement that. One of the most important items in your grab and go kit, 1.5-inch roll of cloth adhesive first aid tape. People say, why? Well, you can bind wounds with it, but more importantly, think about it. What do you see in a disaster? You see people walking down the roads. If it's a big disaster, they're not in their cars. There's no gas, the bridges are down, things aren't working. They're walking. And if people aren't used to walking, what happens? You blister up. When you blister up, your heels burst. You're not going anywhere. You got sore spots, you whip those shoes and socks off, take some of that tape off, the sticky side, you scrub it on your skin to get rid of the oils and the dirt and the scummy stuff, because it won't stick on a normal skin very well. Scrub that off, throw that piece of tape away, put some fresh tape on your heels, pop those shoes and socks back on, and you're back in business. I told this story to a real heavy-duty survivalist guy. He's got like 50 guns in his collection. He was interviewing me on a radio show. Actually, more like 75 guns. I mean, real gun nut. And he laughed and he said, this is real embarrassing. He said, but I'll tell you this story. But I was in the Grand Canyon backpacking. Here I am, Mr. Tough Guy. I'm backpacking. I didn't have moleskin, which is really sticky stuff to stick on blisters. And I didn't have any of that tape you're talking about. And I blew my heels out, and they got raw, and they were bleeding all over the place. They had to call a helicopter. Here I am, Mr. Hard Guy. They call a helicopter. Guy gets out of the helicopter and says, boy, you better have a credit card. And you better have a lot of credit left on it, because this is going to cost you. So most of us in a disaster cannot call that helicopter. Remember that 1.5-inch roll of cloth tape. You don't have that, duct tape will do, but I'd rather have first aid tape on my skin than duct tape. I'm not sure what my reaction to duct tape is going to be, but anyway. So that's one item. Another item people don't think about, I have a colloidal silver generator, and I know you guys talk about colloidal silver on the air. I've heard your ads.
Yep.
And so that's like a pharmacy in a jar. In other words, it runs off batteries, or I've got a charger so I can plug it into 120 volts if that's running, or otherwise I can run off batteries and use a solar charger. And that allows me to build an ionic colloidal silver solution that's toxic to all known pathogenic bacteria and non-toxic to human beings. Now, if you've got a strep throat and you can pop a pill and it works, then that'll work faster than your colloidal silver. But I tell you, if you've got antibiotic-resistant strep, you got methicillin-resistant staph infection, MRSA, you got antibiotic-resistant TB, extreme drug-resistant TB, you can put that silver in there and breathe it through a nebulizer, and it'll knock that stuff, and the pharmaceuticals won't. So, right now, I read an article in the New York Times, and they're talking about nanoparticle silver everywhere. They're using nano silver in all the wipes and on the floors all over the hospitals. Now they're worried that some bugs will become resistant to silver. Well, if hospitals are using silver as a last resistant for antibiotic-resistant superbugs, don't you want it for your family? I mean, come on. If they're using it, why can't I use it? So I bring that with me wherever I travel.
Well, it makes sense, and we all have to be responsible, especially caring for our loved ones, and we all have to be responsible and be prepared for any situation. What I thought was interesting, I was wondering if you could elaborate on or tell the audience about the pit in the stomach exercise.
Now this could be the most important thing you get in this show today. This is an incredibly important thing. Now, think about it. The rational mind is only as good as the information base it has to draw upon. So in order to make a really good rational decision, you have to have information. Now, in a disaster, you rarely have very good information at your fingertips. So you're trying to figure out, do I go this way? Do I go that way? What do I do? So I'm going to use a real-life situation. There was a well-known, well-loved guy from the Bay Area, popular in the media, James Kim and family. They'd gone to Seattle and visiting people on a Thanksgiving holiday, and they were headed back to San Francisco. driving down the Central Valley of Oregon, Highway 5, missed their exit in the middle of the night. They were supposed to be staying at a hotel on Gold Beach on the coast of Oregon. Well, they looked in their map and they thought, oh, there's a shortcut. Let's take this back road because it'll be 4 in the morning by the time we get there if we got to backtrack. So they take the shortcut. It's snowing. It turns out they got off the shortcut, which would have been closed anyways, further up from the snow. They got totally lost. They said, scared. They went to sleep, said, we'll figure it out in the morning. Woke up, snowbound in the morning, middle of nowhere, out of cell phone range, didn't know what to do. So here's the pit of the stomach. You don't know what to do. You can't figure it out with your head. You don't have the information. There's an inner compass that Mother Nature built into every single one of us. Each and every human being has it. The beings that didn't have it, it's in your DNA. They got popped in the pot, they died in the battlefield, whatever. The saber-toothed tiger got them. Okay, so you can't figure it out with your head. You know you can't trust the head when it's changing its mind every minute. 1 minute it says do this, 2 minutes later do that. Then it's like, wait a minute, I can't trust this. It doesn't know. So I've got to get in touch with this inner compass. So that's when you go ask, if you're spiritual, you offer prayer, Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, I don't care. You know, it's whatever your personal connection is. If you're not spiritual, just say, please help me. You take some deep breaths. You're going to be feeling, not thought. You're going to be using feelings in the body instead of thinking in the head to bypass the rational mind. So you take some deep breaths until you can feel the center, the dantian, right here, between the bottom of the rib cage, right above your belly button. You got to feel that knot in your stomach relaxed. Keep breathing deeply. It might take you a while if you're freaking out. Keep breathing deeply till it relaxes. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go in pictures. So first, this is the guy in the river. He says, well, okay, he's stuck. He's in the middle of nowhere. The thought is, the rational mind says, follow the river. That's like the rule of survival. Now, rules are just general guidelines. They're not always right. So, you know, should I follow the river? So pit of the stomach, you breathe, you make a picture of yourself in your mind hiking down the river. Now all of a sudden, you feel that stomach. If you feel it tighten up into a knot, bad choice. You know it's not a good choice. It's like, whoa, I thought I was supposed to follow the river. That's the rule of survival, right? Well, okay, well, maybe I should follow the ridge. Maybe if I go up on the ridge, I'll see like some smoke from a fireplace in the distance in a house. I'll go that way. Or maybe there'd be a search helicopter or something like that. And so maybe I should go up on the ridge. So you breathe deeply and you relax until you get that pit of the stomach relaxed again. And then you make a picture in your mind of hiking up on the ridge and being on the ridge top. And if you feel a feeling, like an expanded, relaxed feeling, kind of a really good feeling, great thing to do. If you feel a queasy, sickly, yucky feeling or a knot in your stomach, bad choice again. So then think, well, wait a minute. I've been in my car 2 days and I've run out of food and I burned my tires. This is what James Kim did. You know, my 2 infant children are freezing. My wife's cold. We're going to freeze to death. We don't do anything. The mind says the chicken thing to do is to stay in your car. You got to go. You got to do something. Fight or flight. Okay, so, but then you picture in your mind and you picture yourself in your car, and if you get that feeling, it's like, oh, wow, I got to stay in the car. Well, here's what happened. Heroic guy. He's not clothed for the snow. He's got tennis shoes on. He doesn't have warm wool or anything that'll keep him warm in the snow. He goes down. He follows the river like the mind says to do. He gets wet. He gets cold. He's found lying face down a half a mile from a hunting lodge that he could have broken into and gotten everything he needed, dead of exposure. Now, what happened to the family? Well, when he didn't show up where he was supposed to be, the father sent out a search party. He called up, he got people to trace the cell phone bumps off of towers. They figured out the rough part of the country he was in. They sent people out searching. They found the wife and the children in the car. They were cold, they were hypothermic, they were hungry, but they were okay. Unfortunately, not so for the husband. So I can't swear the pit of the stomach would have saved his life, but I personally used it to make choices. And sometimes it told me the exact opposite of what I thought I should do in my mind or what I wanted to do. And when we've all had that experience of listening to that inner voice and saying, oh, thank God I listened. And we have that experience of when we ignored it and we got our you-know-what kicked and we fingers burned and we said, oh, if only I had listened to that voice that was trying to warn me, I could have saved myself all this grief. So we've all had that lesson. And this is an important tool that can help you when the chips are down and when you can't figure out with your head what to do, can help you to shut that mind off, get in touch with that inner compass of spirit that simply knows what to do and can see around the corner and tell you where to go and what you need to do.